everybody. My name is Mars. You can call me MG if you'd like, and today I have my April reading wrap up. I have 15 books to talk to you about, so let's just skip all the fanfare and get right into it. So the first book that I picked up in April was Shadowkiss by Rochelle Mead. This is the third book in the Vampire Academy series, and this is the book where the one thing that I remembered from my original time reading the series, like 10-ish years ago, happened. It happened right at the end, so I truly have no idea what's going to be going on after that, except for the conclusion of this arc. Like, I remember this subplot start and end and nothing in between. So it's gonna be a big old mystery as I continue reading this. But I enjoyed this book. I didn't love it as much as the first two. I felt like it was a little bit too long. If it had been streamlined a little bit more, I probably would have liked it more, but it was still a fine book, and I'm excited to read on. Then I picked up a nonfiction, and that book was Atomic Women by Roseanne Montijo, it might be pronounced. I'm not entirely sure. I did own this physically, and then I ended up unhauling it because I don't tend to reread nonfiction, so I don't keep very many. But this is a book about the female scientists who worked on the atomic bomb, and so it deals with this kind of intersection of the struggles of women in STEM, but also the moral implications of working on something like the atomic bomb. And I thought it was really interesting. I definitely didn't know anything about this topic really beyond like the basics you learn in history class in high school. So I learned a lot, and this is a topic I would probably be interested in reading more about. But yeah, I am not a huge nonfiction person, but this one was very interesting. Then I picked up The Pairing by Casey McQuiston, and this is a book that I also had physically but have ultimately decided to unhaul, and that's because I DNF'd it. If I consult my book, my little journal, I DNF'd it at 23%. So I gave it a fair shot. I didn't like anything that was happening. I was so excited for this because I've read One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston and loved that book. And this just completely did not have similar vibes at all. I did not like the characters. I thought the two main characters were both really annoying, and also everyone, even like side characters and stuff, was just talking about sex all the time, which like is fine. I've read smutty romances before. I literally have Barbarian Alien on my shelf facing out right now, which I love that book. But The Pairing, it just didn't work for me. I didn't even really get to any sex scenes in it, but it really felt like horny teenagers just talking about sex all the time, and they're supposed to be in their late 20s. It didn't work for me, so I DNF'd it, put it in a little free library. It's gone. Then I read Strange Beasts by Susan J. Morris. This was the Bujo Buddies book club pick for the month. And the best way I could describe this book is bland. There wasn't really anything wrong with it, but nothing really had a spark for me. I thought the characters were fine. The romance could have done with more build up to it. Like, I like the characters together, but I didn't really believe the romance. The mystery was pretty good. I did enjoy that element to it. But the thing that I was most excited for is that it's supposed to be like drawing on classical literature. The two main characters are the daughter of Jonathan and Mina Harker from Dracula and the daughter of Dr. Moriarty from Sherlock Holmes. And I was fascinated by that. I'm like, yes, give me that. That sounds so good. And it just didn't really draw on those pieces of literature in a way that I enjoyed. There was also like some Phantom of the Opera stuff just thrown in there for no reason, and like it just didn't work for me. It had all of these elements that ultimately fell flat, so I probably won't be reading the sequel. Then I picked up The Lost Metal by Brandon Sanderson, book 4 in the Wax and Wayne series, which is the second era of Mistborn, the final book in the series. You guys, this was so good. I adore this entire series. Every book, absolute perfection. This was everything to me. I can't really say much about it because it is the fourth book in the Wax and Wayne series and like the seventh Mistborn book overall, so you kind of should read the first trilogy before you read this series anyway. So like, I don't want to spoil things, but it was everything to me. It was perfection. I just love the series so, so, so much, and I will be rereading it a bajillion times in the future, and it just has me so excited to continue on and read even more books in the Cosmere, because right now the only books I've read are the 7 Mistborn books. So I've got the Stormlight Archives, I've got all of the standalones and the short stories and stuff, so I've got so much Brandon Sanderson to read, and I can't wait. Then I had a reread, and that was An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. This is the Nostalgia Train book club pick for the month, and I actually read this last September, so it hasn't even been a full year since I read it, but I figured it's for the book club. I will pick it back up and just refresh myself on what was going on, and I feel like I don't have any differing thoughts. Like, it has been so recent since I've read it that I feel exactly the same way about it, and that is that it's really good. I'm intrigued. I'm excited to continue the series. I will be reading book 2 in May, actually. It just didn't hit the way I wanted it to in some aspects. I feel like the little hints of romance that we get aren't really my favorite because the one character reads a lot younger than she actually is. I think she's supposed to be like 17 or 18, and to me she reads like she's 15, and the love interest is I think 19 or 20. That was a bus driving by. So yeah, there are some elements to this that I didn't love, but I still enjoyed most of it quite a lot and am very excited to see how things play out in the rest of the series. My next read was A Lesson in Vengeance by Victoria Lee, and oh my goodness, this was delicious. This was so good. It had the dark academia vibes, it had the witchy occult vibes, it had the sapphic vibes. It was just so well done. I had a fantastic time reading this, and it was everything. It was so good. I loved this. I don't know if Victoria Lee has any other books. I feel like she probably has a couple that I've heard of. I can't think of what they're called, but I will be checking them out because I also just really vibed quite well with the writing style. So I'm excited to see what other works she's got out there. The next book I read was The Otherwhere Post by Emily J. Taylor, and this was another book that I thought was absolutely fantastic. Okay, this is a little bit of a backstory. A few months ago, I said to my friends, I was like, hey, we've got cozy fantasy bookstores, we've got cozy fantasy cafes. Where are the other businesses? Where's the cozy fantasy post office? And then less than 24 hours after I said that, Q from QWordy, she posted a review of The Otherwhere Post, which she had as an arc, because this is a very recent release, and was like, cozy fantasy post office. And I'm like, oh my god, my prayers have been answered. My wishes are coming true. So I immediately hopped on the hold list from my library and read it as soon as it came in because I was that excited. And it was so good. It really gives the same vibes as like Emily Lloyd Jones, Margaret Rogerson, like that kind of fantasy, which those are two authors that I absolutely adore. So this slipped right in there. I had a fantastic time. This author does have one other book out, which I have not heard great things about. It's called Hotel Magnifique, and I've heard some people like it, but most of the reviews I've seen said that it wasn't great. But I am still interested in checking it out because of how much I loved the Otherwhere Post, and anything else that she writes, I will probably be checking out. Then, for a complete tonal shift, I picked up The Road by Cormac McCarthy. This is a book that I have wanted to read for a very, very long time, and one day I was just like, wait a minute, I have a library card. I could just check out this book and read it. So that's exactly what I did, and I loved it. Like, this was so good. I actually themed my May reading journal spreads after it because what I'm doing this year is each month's reading spread themes are going to be based on my favorite read of the previous month. And while I did have quite a few 10 out of 10 stars, I figured The Road, I think, just takes the cake by a teensy tiny bit, even over The Lost Metal, because The Lost Metal is the 4th book in a series, and it kind of relies on those previous books to get the 10 out of 10 that it did, whereas The Road is a standalone. I'm over-explaining this, but it's fine. I just had a fantastic time reading this book, and I want to get a copy for myself because I just really liked it, and I want to own it. Then I picked up Frenchman's Creek by Daphne du Maurier, and unfortunately, this was another DNF for me. I was reading it and not quite enjoying it, but like I was getting along with it just fine. And then I put it down one day, and later on when I was like getting ready for bed and everything, I usually read a little bit before bed each night. I looked over at it and was just like, I don't actually want to pick that back up. So I didn't, and I DNF'd it at 57%. So I got pretty far. It just wasn't really hitting for me, so I am going to pass this on to a little free library, and there's actually a little free library a block away from my house that has a lot of classics in it. I've stopped by a couple of times, and it seems like 90% of the time people put classics in that one, so this will fit right in, and someone will enjoy this more than I did. Then I picked up The Face on the Milk Carton by Carolyn B. Cooney, and this is a reread for me. I read this for the first time in 3rd grade, and then I read it again in 8th grade, and now this was perhaps my 3rd time reading it. I might have read it one more time between 8th grade and now because 8th grade was 13 years ago, maybe 14? I don't know. It was a while ago. I thought this was fine. It definitely reads like a novel from the 90s because I think this came out in 1990. There are definitely some like developmental things that I would have changed if I were to edit this novel. There are just some interesting choices that were made, and it kind of ends what I would have made it ends at what I would have made like the midpoint. So I will be reading the second book, which I actually have physically because I found it in a little free library. So we'll see how that goes next month. Then I read The Color of Revenge by Cornelia Funk, the sequel slash companion novel to the Inkworld series, which is Ink Heart, Ink Spell, Ink Death. This takes place about 5 years later and follows one of the antagonists from that series, and we see what he's been up to in those 5 years, and he wants to get revenge. I thought this was so fun. It wasn't necessary. Like, I didn't consider this guy wandering off to be like a plot hole or anything, but I am glad that we got to see his story. We did learn some interesting information about some characters, like Dustfinger's real name, which I kind of wish I didn't know, but it's fine. I'm glad we got to see a little bit more of these characters because I just really enjoy them. I love this world so much, so this was a little bit like coming home for me. Then I tried to read A Declaration of the Rights of Magicians by H.G. Perry, which I've been calling a declaration on the rights of magicians, but it's of. I'm just dumb, I guess. And I ended up DNFing this at only 11%, which was like almost 60 pages in. It's just a chunky book. I checked out the audiobook from the library to listen as I read along physically because that's how I get through the chunkiest of chunky books nowadays, and it just wasn't doing it for me. I feel like it took all of the things that I didn't like about Babel and made it worse. So Babel, which you can see right here, I really loved but did have a few issues with, and this kind of exemplified those issues. It could have been so good. It's historical fantasy, one of my favorite genres, but it just didn't really do anything for me. I think the biggest issue was the narration style and writing style. It felt like I was being held at like an arm's length from the story itself, and I want to feel like I'm getting into the story, you know? So ultimately this did not work out for me, but maybe it'll work out for someone else, so I will be passing this on to a little free library and someone else will pick it up. For another nostalgic vibe read, I picked up The Wrath of the Triple Goddess by Rick Riordan, which is book 7 in the Percy Jackson and the Olympians series, but book 2 in the Senior Year Adventures, which is the like little subset of the series that we are currently in. Basically, Percy Jackson wants to get into college. He has to have 3 recommendation letters from gods that he's done quests for, and this is the second of those. So in this one, he is house sitting for Hecate, and things go awry, and he has to fix it with the help of Annabeth and Grover. This was so sweet. Sally Jackson, Mom of the Year. I love her so much. She's perfection. She's so good. And then Percy and Annabeth together are just so cute. My heart. They are definitely my favorite fictional couple of all time. Like, they're just so amazing together. And so this was such a fun read. I am upset that we are not going to be getting. That was another bus going by. We're not going to be getting the third book in this little mini series this year. We're going to be getting a second Nico and Will book, which is fine, but I am very much anticipating the finale of this little trilogy. And the last book that I picked up in the month of April was Der Katzenprinz and Other Zemnian Tales by Liam O'Brien and illustrated by Charlie Newt Borowski, which these illustrations, y'all, let me find a good one. Like, so good. What? Beautiful. I'm obsessed. Yeah, this is part of the Critical Role universe. Basically, during campaign 2, Caleb, who is Liam's character in that campaign, tells a story called Der Katzenprinz to one of the other characters and is like, this is a little fairy tale, I guess, from where I'm from. And then later on, in a different situation, Liam came up with Die Waldhexe, which is the second story in this collection. And then the third one is Himmelschloss, which is new for this collection. It's not anywhere else. And I just thought this was so sweet and cozy, and I definitely want to maybe check out the ebook from the library to listen along as I read, because I am assuming that Liam does the audiobook. I actually don't know for sure though, but I think that would be nice, especially if he does it in his Caleb voice, which Caleb has a Zemnian accent in World, but it's really a German accent just because Liam speaks German and it was an easy accent for him to do. So, I loved this, and it was a great end to the month, so I'm very glad that I got to pick this up. So that is all for me today. Let me know down in the comments how your reading went in April, if you had any standout favorite books, if you had any DNFs like I did. I had 3. That feels like a lot for a month, but it's fine. DNFing those books just freed up time for me to read even more that I actually really loved. So thank you all for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. You can subscribe to my channel for more content, and that way I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye everyone!